Welcome to Outside the Lab, Episode 1. I'm one of your hosts, Turner Plummer.
I'm your other host, Thomas Henson.
Today we're joined by Dr. Audra Goach and Professor David Wright. Dr. Goach earned a chemistry degree from, how do you say it? Muhlenberg College, and later completed a PhD in chemistry at the Pennsylvania State University, followed by a postdoc research in biophysical chemistry at the University of Pennsylvania. At Monmouth College, she teaches a range of courses from analytical chemistry to forensic science and actively involves students in hands-on research. Professor Wright studied American literature and critical theory at Truman State University and Loyola University Chicago, and he later earned an MFA in creative writing from Ashland University. His poetry and essays have appeared in numerous journals and publications, including 32 poems. Is it Ecotone and the Midwest Quarterly?
Those are places, yeah.
He is also the author of several poetry collections, including The Local Talent, published in 2019. Dr. Goach and Professor Wright, thank you for being here with us today.
Cool. Thanks for having us. Yeah.
Yeah, so today's episode will cover the summer escape room project that you guys did for SOfIA, and then also your experience at the American Chemistry Society, or ACS meeting. And we're really excited to hear about both experiences. So, like every episode, we're going to do an icebreaker to start it. We'll start with Dr. Goach for you first. What's the coolest chemical reaction you've ever seen in person?
Wow, the coolest chemical reaction I ever saw in person. Well, I mean, I'm not an organic chemist, so I don't make a lot of things. But in analytical chemistry, we always do titrations where things turn color, so any kind of color indicator. And I love when students, go over the endpoint and things get a lot darker pink than they're supposed to be. So I would say the coolest part of that is just seeing my students actually get competitive. So it's not really the reaction, but it's the competitiveness of the students to win one out with that. Yeah, so that's fun.
Yeah, we saw that in our last semester in STEM Ambassadors when we did our project together too, where we did titration as one of the Olympics, part of the Olympics.
The STEM Olympics,
STEM Olympics. Yeah. So that was pretty interesting to see how close not even chemistry majors could get, but even other people like physics, for example. There's a kid that's doing engineering. He's a freshman, and he was the closest actually for the titration.
He pretty much nailed it. Yeah.
Good job to him.
Yeah, it's kind of impressive. So, and then we'll go over to Professor Wright for your question. Of all the literature you've written, is there one piece that stands out as your favorite, and why that one?
All literature I've written? It's very nice of you to call it literature. That's sweet. That's really sweet. Yeah, I think the title poem of Local Talent is a piece that I'm proud of, and I think it captures the sense of place and the music I like to write about, things like that. It's about a damp porch couch across the street from me when I first moved here to Monmouth.
Interesting.
You know the damp porch couch. The kind of
They're
thing.
They're going to have to bring you back on to read it.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, maybe.
I watched I seen the video or whatever.
There you go.
Yeah, because that's where we took we got our information for your guys' bios.
Of course, you didn't read anything. You just looked on YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a little easier that way.
Just check it.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
Limited time here. Limited time.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll stop being funny. Or I'll start. One or the other.
All right, so we'll get into some of the questions we're going to ask you. We'll start with the escape room. One of the questions that we have is, can you give us a little background of what SOfIA is for those prospective students that are watching who might be interested in participating in the program?
So I always think of SOfIA as an on-ramp for students. It's 3 weeks before the beginning of the semester. Select students have a chance to apply for a roster of activities. They'll be doing research activities with individual faculty members, and it's all across the disciplines. It's the STEM disciplines, it's the humanities, the arts, social sciences, and those students will then spend 3 weeks doing a research project with an individual faculty member. What am I forgetting?
Well, it stands for Summer Opportunity for Intellectual Achievement. And besides prospective students coming, there's also mentors. So students that graduate from the program, I guess you should say, come back and help the students. So it is about doing the activity, but it's also about being acclimated to the campus and, learning what it's like to be a college student. It's a great program.
I think, too, the community that these students build with each other before they ever begin the semester, I guess would be like the football team coming back to practice or the cross-country team coming to run. There's a way in which they connect with one another, and for the rest of their time here, they know those folks in the program because they all get presentations, too. So each week, a different set of groups gives the presentation on their research and progress. And so they
Academic boot camp?
Academic boot camp in some
Academic
ways.
boot camp.
Well, I think it is what it means to do serious work at college. They have a lot of fun. We go to the state fair, they do all that kind of stuff. But you get a sense of what it's like to work hard as an academic, right?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And when you walk through the CSB, you can see a bunch of different posters around the area of the different projects that everybody's done. It's honestly vast, the different projects you can do. It's not just one major. There's a bunch of different majors that you can really participate in. And I didn't participate for SOfIA. I don't know if you did either.
I didn't either.
Yeah, but I know a lot of classmates that I have in engineering. They absolutely love the program. They learned a lot from it. And like you said, they got acclimated to the campus and the professors even and some of their other students that they're going to be, talking to for the next 4 years. So
Yeah, there are students that did the last 2 summers with us that aren't majors in chemistry.
Or in English.
Or in any science, and they come to visit me. Right. So they're like, oh, can I come talk to you? Because I feel like I could talk to you. And I'm not one of their professors. Right. So it's a safe place.
Huh. They don't come to visit me.
Well, sorry about that.
Wow. All right.
So you guys did a SOfIA project and you just presented at ACS. So tell us a little bit about what your project was.
Well, I wanted to do something with forensic science because that's a hot topic, right, for students that come out of high school, and a lot of them want to be forensic scientists. And so I thought, well, I'll be able to get some students on my project if that's the idea. And then David.
So I've done a bunch of SOfIA projects, and they've almost always been collaborative, and usually they involve writing. So I had wanted to do one on mystery writing, and as we were nearing the time for students to sign up, we both said, well, this makes perfect sense to do something with forensic science and something with mystery writing. And so the notion of an escape room came up. So my students were going to work on the mystery.
And mine on the science. But, when you're deciding this, because Dr. Moore, right, Dr. Rosano and Dr. Moore are the ones who head up SOfIA. And when you agree to do this with her, it's like October.
Yeah, October, December, things kind of get finalized.
And it sounds great, right? It's like, okay, yeah, we're going to build an escape room, and it's going to be awesome, it's going to be wonderful. And then August rolls around, you're like, why did I agree to do this? Because it was really difficult. It wasn't easy, right? But it was a really fruitful collaboration, I would say. Yeah.
Well, and you get excited about meeting the students when they come in, and then, there's some struggle involved in figuring out who they are, figuring out what they can do, what they're interested in doing, and then meshing 2 groups. I think a lot of resources were there, smart folks from both of those areas, but helping them understand one another was a huge part of the project.
Awesome. And then to build off of that, I know you talked about earlier how they would show up to your office. Do you think the escape room changed students' views on science or influenced students to give STEM a try?
That's a good question. Yeah. I'm not sure it influenced any of them to change their major. We had one student who was in the writing group with Professor Wright, but was, I think, originally going to be a STEM major anyway. But I think quite a few of them end up taking maybe creative writing with Professor Wright or taking the forensic science class with me. And so not that it changes their mind, but maybe it opens their mind to different aspects of the fields.
I think it is the best of what a liberal arts college can do. You can have a chemist who's literate. You can have a writer who's scientifically literate. And they figure out that there's a Venn diagram, very mathy of me. There's a Venn diagram where those things overlap sometimes, and particularly when you're writing a mystery, you can't have clues that will throw people off. Right, if a clue is not scientifically accurate or accurate in terms of the stuff that would qualify as evidence in a court, then that's going to throw somebody off. And so there was a way in which they both got to, I think, experience that science also needs a story, it needs a narrative.
Correct.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I've learned here at Monmouth, at the liberal arts education. Coming in here, I had no idea what is liberal arts.
Right.
And no, I've learned that us being engineers, the communication part of that is huge for us, and I think that's something Monmouth College does well. And it's great that I came here now that I think about it, and not knowing what it was, but it was good for me.
Well, and the teamwork piece too, the collaboration. I mean, you can't be working as an engineer, working in a laboratory, and not have that kind of ability to back and forth, listen well, do your part, help other people do their part.
That was the topic for today in our STEM ambassadors class.
Was it now?
It
Yeah.
was, yeah.
Yes.
And we learned what type of team players we are.
And
Well, you could ask them.
Thomas, what'd you say you were? I don't even remember.
I said I was the organizer,
I think I said that I was the perfectionist.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
and there's a lot of doers.
There's a lot of
in
doers
our
in
class,
our class.
we had that.
Yeah.
We had that in our group too. We had some people that came from backgrounds where just looking at what needed to be done, and they did it. So
Yeah.
one is a pastor's daughter. One was somebody who had done theater, and those folks look around and go, "Oh, tables need to be set up. Okay, stuff needs to be taken down. Oh, someone needs to go to the store."
And they just did it.
And they did it. You didn't have to ask them. The others were standing around looking at their phones, and we were like,
Right.
hey, step up. You're going to have to do this when you're in the workplace, or actually when you have a family. So
Yeah.
You want to move on to the ACS
We
meeting?
can do that. Yeah. So you guys presented this at ACS, right?
We did, yeah.
And several other students went to ACS.
Correct.
So for our listeners who may not know what ACS is, can you give us a little bit of insight or background or what happens at those meetings?
well, I'll take. No, never mind. I have no idea.
Maybe you should answer it.
No, you go ahead.
No, so ACS is the American Chemical Society, and it's a national society of chemists. And there are 2 conferences every year, one in the fall and one in the spring. And it is huge.
It's an enormous conference, yeah.
Right? I mean, I should have done my research, and I can't even estimate how many talks were going on. But at any point in time, there had to be 100 to 200
150,
talks
200, yeah.
going on at the
Easy.
same time, right?
Easy.
At this convention center. I mean, there were 3 halls, and then the escalators went like 3 floors deep.
Did you have to walk miles to
You
the
had to
next?
walk miles. So every day we walked like 8 miles.
Yeah.
Right. And we did take, we took 8 students with us, and they presented posters, with graduate students. And so that's really exciting to see, where you see faculty talking to our Monmouth College undergrads, and they think they're grad students, even ask them, right? And one of my research students was like, oh my God, they thought I was in grad school, right? And so that just shows the quality of the research we're doing in all the disciplines here at Monmouth. And then we had a student give a talk in a session where there was a tenured faculty member speaking before her, right? And so this is a really valuable experience that in chemistry we feel really lucky, because we have money through the Doc Kieft Endowment to take this trip every year. And so we spent how many days?
5, 6?
Yeah, 6 days there. Normally we fly, but because of prices, and also because of what was going on at the airports, we drove to Atlanta in a van.
So we is generous. I drove a
Yes.
little bit on the way down, and then the lab
We
manager.
thank Steve Diston,
Steve
our lab
Diston.
manager, for driving.
Steve Diston drove
Yeah.
most of the way down and all of the way back through Atlanta traffic,
How
through
many
Nashville
hours?
traffic. It was about 12 hours, 13
Because
hours.
with stops and
Wow.
everything. You
Yeah.
stop with 11 people, right? And you know how long that takes? I should add that besides giving talks and meeting people, they also have a career center, like
Yeah.
in the expo, where you could, get your resume checked, you could do mock interviews, you could interview, and then they have the whole expo where you could look at different instruments that are, happening in chemistry, right?
And get some nice
get some
swag.
free swag.
Yeah, there you go.
So
I say we went to IMTS a couple years ago.
okay, yeah.
And that was like a great experience that I think everybody should have. Just going to some sort of even it was more of a convention where like companies had their crazy equipment sitting there, but like it's just something cool just to go see and to go experience.
I think there's a kind of a professional world that it's hard to know about when you're an undergrad.
Yeah.
And that it's so large, and it's industry, it's academia. We do the same thing in English where we take students to conferences, not nearly as much because we don't have the funding that you all have, but it really amplifies your sense of the possibilities and the range of what's going on.
You see that chemistry is also biology, right? It's also physics, it's also engineering, right? I mean, the magazine that the ACS puts out is called Chemical and Engineering News, right? So you start to see how broad the background of the field is, which maybe you don't always get in your classroom experience. Maybe you should talk a little bit about the poster and the talk that we gave.
Yeah, sure. Well,
tell them where we gave our talk.
The first thing, though, is that I should point out that I'm pretty sure of the thousands and thousands and thousands of presenters there, I was the only English professor. Yeah. In fact, I'm almost 100% sure of that, right? And I almost brought my badges to prove that I could go to ACS because, what was I doing there? But so we gave a presentation in a pedagogical session, so ways of teaching chemistry or ways of making chemistry public for other people, kind of a STEM ambassadors idea.
True.
And the best part of it and the worst part of it was because there were so many presentations, they put up these little pods, they called them.
They looked like igloos.
Yeah,
Really?
or like some sort
Just
of
in the middle of like a giant.
Oh, no,
like,
at the entire far
farthest
end of the convention center.
And they
The
look
entire
like
8 miles.
like spacecraft had landed, like two dozen spacecraft had landed. And you go inside them, and you're in this little hut, and there's a couple dozen chairs, 30 chairs, 40 chairs, and a screen,
Projector.
a screen and projector, all the things you would expect. But it was kind of a surreal experience.
How many in that room were there?
In
Like
our room?
12? Like
yeah, there
12
were maybe
pods.
Yeah, 12 pods.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was odd. And that's where we got to do the odyssey of going down and down and down in Dante's levels.
We were like,
to get there.
where are we presenting?
Yeah.
So we thought we would check out where we're going to present that day, and then I was going to go to a couple talks, and then we went to chemistry department chair luncheon where we talked about teamwork, right, and collaboration, and David had a lot to offer to that.
I also got a free lunch.
We got free lunch.
That's always good.
And by the time we found where we were going, and we walked back, and then we found the place where the lunch was because that was in a hotel nearby. We made it like with 1 minute to spare.
We did.
Right. Wow. Yeah. So there's a lot of walking involved, right, in these conferences.
But the presentation was really interesting because everyone who presented had some kind of novel idea about how to get chemistry to other people. And one person had a truck with chemistry in it. She was driving it around and giving people ice cream and teaching them about chemistry. Or at least that's her goal to do that.
They would walk on the truck, and they would make ice cream with liquid nitrogen.
Oh, is that the thing that we were talking about?
Yeah, I told you guys in class about that.
Yeah.
Kelly's ice cream truck, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
You sent us a link.
I did,
whatever.
right.
Yeah.
We had folks at all different kind of institutions, community college, St. Louis University.
High schools.
And, high schools. And
Even
so,
high schools were there too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah.
Yeah. And so that was super interesting to see the kind of Venn diagram again of the overlaps that were going on. And our project, we had typical slides like you would do, explaining what SOfIA was, explaining the project, and then we had a video at the end that kind of walks you through the escape room. And so the escape room premise for us was that these bagpipes had been lost, and of course SOfIA finishes up on matriculation. And if these bagpipes were not available at the end of the escape room, matriculation couldn't happen. So anytime you write a mystery, you have to have something at stake. You have to have kind of a clock that says if we don't do this by now, something bad will happen. The hostage will get killed. Something will blow up. We decided not to kill anybody. Came close, but we had
each other. It was very stressful.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
It was very stressful.
We'll get to that. But we had these bagpipes in a trunk, and by the time you made it through all the forensics clues, as well as the profiles of the various suspects, they eliminated a different suspect in every room. And got to the last one, and they had 2 left, and there was some handwriting analysis there, and some clues to where to find the pipes, and they opened it up, and there they were. So the music folks on campus, the pipe band, collaborated with us, gave us band uniforms and all kinds of stuff to use.
Yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
it was the rooms were really cool. When you first entered, you entered the band room.
The band room.
The band room, right. And then you eliminated someone. There are a couple little puzzles to get their profiles out of a cabinet, but you eliminated someone based on shoe prints. And then you went into the dressing room, and you eliminated someone based on fabric and hairs. And so we found cat hair and nylon, and it turned out that this particular suspect was allergic to both cat hair and nylon. Right. And so you had like a little checklist, right? And then you also had information about them, blood type and things like that. And then the next room was the secret Piper Society room.
There you go.
And there you eliminated based on blood type and handwriting, and not handwriting, blood type and fingerprints. It's harder without the slides. Then when you...
I'll just mime them over here.
And then you went into the final music room, and that was handwriting, and also we had music notes on the board, and we had like kid kind of bells with colors, and you had to play the notes by the color, and it played Amazing Grace, and it turned out that the person that did it was Grace, one of the suspects, right?
Cool.
Yeah,
So we made that many rooms out of a space.
One unused lab on campus.
Yeah, so we had drape curtains to separate the rooms and the right lighting and all that stuff.
That's cool.
So-
So it really was a lot like a theater production in some ways.
It was.
So
and
the
if
last
you-
week was Tech Week.
Yeah, and if you made it, right, we had these cool signs that they held up.
We killed it.
We killed it, things like that.
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Scott's free,
That's creative,
right?
yeah.
And then if you didn't make it,
We got killed.
we got killed.
Yeah.
We got
So
killed.
what was the success rate on this?
Well,
So these were the track,
that's the cross country.
cross country folks, yeah, and
Yeah.
they made it in record time actually. Which
Really?
So what do we say? Like we had some faculty that didn't make it, and our hypothesis was,
That they overthought it.
yeah,
And then they fought with each other. It was like a faculty meeting. Okay? sorry about the swearing, or you can bleep me on that if you want. But we overheard one group, because we were in a room next door where they would come to get oriented to go in and then come debrief afterwards.
Yeah.
And we could actually listen through the wall
and
hear
they're going,
them
no, it's
arguing.
not this, it's that. No, don't do that. No, that's not the code. I mean,
Yeah.
so it was.
So, so the success rate, we had to do trial runs for
Mm-hmm.
for the last 2 or 3 days.
And we changed it each time, right?
Yeah, and we got a
So-
sense of what kind of time we would need to allow for the families and the student groups that were going to go on the day of matriculation. So, there was a lot involved with it, but I was pretty comfortable with the chaos of the last week because I've helped to produce and be part of theater productions. Somebody here in the room is not comfortable without very carefully scripted out things that need to happen
I was not.
in order. So that was the moment of conflict.
I'm an analytical chemist, right? I mean, how could
I mean, that's what we were talking about today in
Right?
STEM Ambassadors.
Exactly. And, so, I mean, like the first week, we kind of went our separate ways and taught them about our craft, right? And then we came together for some fun things. So we did this peanut butter and jelly experiment. I don't know if you've ever done that. Maybe I should do it, but now I'm telling you about it, so I can't. But you write instructions for making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and then you give them to someone, and they have to make it.
But they have to follow the steps
So if you
literally.
say put peanut butter on the bread and you'll say how much, or you don't say to spread it, you're just like, what do I do now? Right? So we did some of those fun activities to, like an icebreaker, right? But also to learn about taking good notes. And then we, the second week, we were learning more about analyzing, fingerprints and blood type and mine, and they were writing.
And we also went to an escape room that
Yeah.
week in Peoria, and both our groups made it out relatively in time. Do we have 3 groups that did it?
We had 2, and then someone did an extra
They did an
one.
extra
Yeah.
Yeah. So that taught us, what that experience was like.
And we talked to a local author.
Talked to Sue Van Kirk, who's a local mystery writer, and she gave us some really wonderful ideas about how mysteries can be structured. The best thing she did was she said at the end, you want to sort of figure out what you're hoping to get and then reverse outline the whole story, particularly in an escape room.
And you reminded me of this the other day because, forensic science, at the end of the semester every year we have a crime, and that's the final, right? So they solve it. So they use everything they learned all semester to solve this crime. And I've been doing this for I don't know how many years now, and I'm running out of ideas. I'm running out of rooms. Last year we used the elevator, and maintenance called it down, and the person was in it, and they were
kind of freaked out.
They're
One
like,
of
what's going on here? So I have a good idea this year, but he reminded me to work backwards, right? So think about what you want and then work backwards to.
But
to
usually
plan
you
that.
can't do that till there's been a whole lot of brainstorming and experimenting with the story. Okay, we had a whiteboard with 15 characters on it, but we really only have 6. And so some of these characters that people got attached to got collapsed into one character. Okay, this person's allergic to this, but their motive is this.
Yeah.
Let's put them together and it's the same character.
Well, and then I said we can't do that blood type because we can't analyze that blood type. So you have to change that.
Right.
Right. Things like that. But, and we also watched Knives Out.
Oh, yeah, I know what. Yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah.
It's a great movie.
Yeah. So
Well,
a lot of work.
I'm sure. That sounds like with our senior design project, there's a lot of work. So I can't imagine having two separate groups trying to work on the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's see. So going back to the ACS meeting, this kind of be our final question. Yeah. So obviously Monmouth College is a smaller liberal arts college. So tell me about a little bit of the experiences you can get there and how Monmouth students stack up to maybe other students who are there or other maybe faculty members who are presenting.
So as a non-chemist,
I was going to say you should answer
I can
this.
say that people were really impressed. They were impressed with the professionalism of the students, with their ability to articulate the kind of work that they'd done. There were folks that gathered at every single student's poster who were not just us visiting to go, hey man, nice job. They were talking, they were explaining their methods and their results. People were getting invited to apply to graduate programs. People were getting invited to apply for jobs. So it's not only beneficial for our students, I think it reflects incredibly well on the institution and the resources that are particularly here. I mean, with the Doc Keefe scholarships, for example, or the Doc Keefe endowment. So as an outsider watching that, I was so impressed, and I want to find a way to produce that for humanities students.
Yeah.
How can we get the funding to send humanities students to similar kinds of events or support similar kinds of research? It's really a model program.
I would say, I'm thinking about Melissa Bivalar. She gave a talk, right? And she's one of my research students. And she spoke so well, right? And I think that's one of the things that we do here, right, is we craft that in students. You get experience speaking in front of all types of audiences from freshman level to senior level, right? And she explained things, right, so that you could understand what she was talking about. There are many talks where some of that background information was not explained, and then it was difficult to understand what was going on. And I think the same thing with the students that gave posters, just very confident, right? Confident in what they do. And all the students that went, and we said this a couple times also, which is I think a Monmouth characteristic, is all of them supported each other the entire week.
I talk to undecided students a lot, and one of the things I always say to them is, when you land here, you're going to land in a cohort of people. And whatever major you find, or there's other ways to do that, if you're an athlete, but particularly academically, you land with a cohort of people who will see you through that whole way, and that sense of community is really something difficult to reproduce at a much larger institution. Maybe they have different kinds or more resources, but I'm not sure they all end up having that kind of community that works together on projects like the escape room or takes a bus full of them to a professional conference where they get to shine.
I also think I would say just the fact that we worked together from very different disciplines. We had many faculty say, I wish I had a writer, right, to work with.
So I've applied now for several more jobs.
He has not. And our poster, we could not,
oh my gosh,
get people to stop coming to it. And it was from 8 to 10 at night. And we had given our talk that morning, and we had walked, the 16 miles or whatever it is. And I looked at him at 9:40. And I said, do not make eye contact with anybody else.
because they'll come right up
Just
to
do
you.
not. And he goes, okay. And what do you know? Someone comes by and he's like, hey. And I'm like, oh, God.
So then you just disappeared for like
I
10
was
minutes.
so tired.
And I was explaining whorls and fingerprints to people, like I knew what I was doing.
You did a great
I
job.
was all
You
right.
did a great job, yeah. But that doesn't happen everywhere either, right? That's something unique to smaller liberal arts colleges.
Yeah, just to wrap everything up, I think the thing that I've heard from you guys about the ACS meeting is it's not just research talks. It's just broader than just those research talks. You know, you can connect with people. Meet different grad programs, different schools. Even like you said, high schoolers are going to this too, so they're getting experience as well. So I think this is a really, really good experience. And I know we also have APS for physicists. Along the same lines, I believe.
The same lines,
where they have the research, and then you can connect and things like that. So
And I went to a Penn State Alumni Association dinner where I got to see people that I knew from the past, which was nice. So it's a really good place to meet people and reconnect.
yeah, and it's just a really good way to step outside of the academics and, have conversations with people, a professional conversation, rather than, just your pen on your paper all day long doing homework. So it's a really good opportunity for those in STEM and in chemistry.
Yeah, for sure. So I think we're going to wrap it up. Anybody have any final remarks?
I just think the podcast is a great thing you guys have done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Well, I'll see how it turns out. But yeah, I think it's a great thing you've done.
Just thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us and celebrating research and the across the disciplines, right? And the
Yeah.
SOfIA program.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great thing we have here at Monmouth. So something to highlight.
Yes.
Great thing to highlight. Well, I think that's all for today's episode of Outside the Lab. Thank you all for listening.
Yeah, and then again, huge thank you to both of you guys for coming on and telling us about, your SOfIA escape room and then also the ACS meeting.
So if you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to follow the podcast on all platforms, basically to YouTube and Spotify, and share it to all of your friends, family, whoever wants to watch it. I think that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you guys.